Hello everyone, Tara here and welcome back to my channel. First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone that participated on my first ever giveaway. And now that's that concluded, it's time to return to good old figure reviewing. So what better way to start than with an amazing, large, good old Beast Wars figure like this one, the Legacy Evolution Leader Class Megatron. No, but seriously. Now this is the absolutely amazing Transmetal 2 Megatron figure that all Beast Wars fans deserve and should get. Not this sad excuse from Hasbro. And since I mentioned amazing, take a look at this absolutely stunning box. This is so shiny that backlight really does not do it justice. Taking a look at this amazing packaging, as you can see on the front, we've got Metal Beast Cold Dragon. We have an amazing photo of both the robot and the dragon mode. Obviously this is, I don't know if I got this right, Zhang Qing's take on Transmetal 2 Megatron, and I love how shiny this box is. And on the right side again we have the Cold Dragon and this really nice looking sigil. On the back we've got some really nice shots of the robot mode and some of the features it has. And again on the left side, the Metal Beast Cold Dragon in Chinese or whatever language that is. And the best part about this box is that it seriously just screams quality. Let me just open this up. I mean, look at what you get this figure in. I wish every third party did this for packaging. This is such a great thing. You can store it, it stays clean and scratch free. So I really love this packaging. And with the box you also get this really cool card which changes, and on the back you've got some stats, and obviously this guy is stacked to the max. And you also get some pretty decent instructions actually. These are quite straightforward actually. I do quite like them. So there he is, Zhang Qing's Metal Beast Cold Dragon, aka Beast Wars Transmetal 2 Megatron, in its massive and absolutely stunning beast mode. And I have to say, this thing just blew me out of my mind. I love the coloration on this one. I prefer it over the standard red one, and that's my own personal preference. And I have to say, the color, the sculpting, the size on this thing is just out of this world. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know where to begin and where to end with this one. Let's get a closer look at that face. This is so accurate. I love the sculpting on this. All the little scales they've added onto this amazing sculpting, and you have even the mouth underlinings under here, so this is just absolutely perfect. And as I've said before, the color is just amazing. This metallic purple here with the silver on the front teeth, and you've got silver towards white for the teeth, and of course this amazing blue metallic color, and obviously all of it is painted. So the bad thing about it is that you can easily chip the paint away, so you need to be careful with that. And going on to these fantastic wings, so again you've got this purple color that turns slightly into this off blue turquoise color, which is really stunning, I have to say. And again, I'm really amazed by the little scale textures they've added onto the entire of the body. And it just shows how much work the company has put into this figure. The only negative I have to say is that this is the only figure they've made, which, yeah, that's pretty sad actually. This thing is so massive, I'm actually having a really hard time moving it around whilst behind the camera, so please bear with me. Now I have to say, you would expect such a massive figure such as this to have a bit of a limited posability, and you would be surprised as how much posability this thing has. So amazing. So I'll start from the head. Obviously the head is separated into different segments. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments and a little base here. So starting from the mouth, you can actually open and close both jaws. And each segment is on an individual ball joint, so you can swivel, you can rotate it 360, you can move it up. If I can fit it into the camera, you can move it up even that much back, and he can look downwards on his toes. So pretty posable head. Now unfortunately, due to the transformation, this part is not supposed to be moved, but if you so like, you can just open up this panel here, and that allows for another extra joint, which is basically for the arm. So it doesn't really count. Going on to the arms, you've got a pin joint right here, so it allows for a full 360 rotation there. Plus you got a ball joint on the inner side, which again can be swiveled, rotated around, and you can move in and out at 90 degrees bend. And as for the elbow, full 360 rotation and 180 degree bend. And as for the toes, or the fingers I should say, they're individually articulated on a single hinge here, which allows them to move in and out. And then you also have a secondary hinge which allows them to do a 90 degree bend. Unfortunately, you cannot move the thumbs, but you can move the wrist up and down about 180 degrees. So amazing posability. Now going on to the legs, and I have to say this thing is just so freaking heavy. You can move the knees straight and about 120 degrees, let's say, on the knee. And you have a double joint connection here, which is like that because of the robot mode. But nonetheless, you can move this out on 90 degrees bend, and you can rotate it at two hinges, one ratchet joint on the inside and one friction joint right here. I think the one on the inside is not supposed to be moved in this mode, but if you so like, you can do so. And as for the feet, you do have amazing pivot, and you can move the toe upwards that much and down that much. And as for the toes, you have again individual articulation on one single hinge, which allows them to move in and out, not too much. And you also have a secondary hinge for a single bend, and that's the same for the toe on the back. And now let's get on with the crazy part of the articulation, which is the wings. Let's take it from the bottom. You've got one hinge here, which allows him to move front and back about 180 degrees, a bit less than 180 degrees. Then you've got the second hinge here, which allows it to move left and right about 90 degrees. Then you've got another hinge here on this little toe, which is actually a double hinge, which allows it to rotate on two connections, one down here and one up here. So a lot of motion. I gotta say, this is tiring. And then we go into the actual wings themselves, which are absolutely mental. Every single wing is on a single hinge, which allows it to move in and out. And again, individually they're on a secondary joint down here, which allows them to move up and down individually. So you can just place them however you like. This thing is just insane. And last but not least, we've got the tail, which is pretty similar to the head actually, but it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 individual segments on ball joints, so this thing can move. And of course you've also got the little trident tip, which has individual articulation on each of the teeth. These moves about 180 degrees, 160 degrees, and these, yeah, they just move inwards. So, oof, that's a lot of articulation on something this big. Seriously, I do not know if I have anything else that has this much articulation in their alt mode. Now as for gimmicks and accessories, he does come with these two plastic effect parts, and I do like how they've designed each to represent their individual aspect. This for frost and this one for fire. And yes, he did have a frost breath in the show, which he did use. So to attach them, pretty simple. You just plug them into that hole in his mouth, like so. Let me just turn him sideways. And on the back of his head, you do have a switch, which you can turn on. And on the right side, it turns on with this red color. Let's see if you can see it better without lighting. And on the other side, you do have a frost presence, frost aura, whatever you want to call it, frost breath. So that is pretty neat. And to change the batteries, you just flip up this panel here, and you can use two LR55, I think. So as for size comparison, of course, here he is with his arch nemesis, Optimus Primal, which I gotta say they look really amazing together. And this is from the Transart company, and I gotta say they both just seem as if they've come out of the series itself. So I'm really amazed at how good these two look together. Here he is with Fury Leader, aka Fourth Party Nero. In his robot mode, they're about the same height. I mean, the dragon is obviously a bit taller, but more or less the same size. And since I've got him here he is with Takara Hasbro's Legacy Evolution Transmetal to Megatron. And I mean, this is the best that Takara Hasbro could make after having made this figure like 20 even more years afterwards. Well, this came in 2023 or 22 if I'm not mistaken, and that came out in 2020 or 21. So yeah, that's unfortunate. So on to the transformation. For the most part, the transformation is quite straightforward. There's no issue with transforming it. It's just because of the sheer size, and whilst I'm trying to record this, it is a bit challenging. So let's get on with it. What I like to do before I start is just fold the right arm onto itself. So the wrist needs to, so this part needs to go all the way around, like so. Basically just grabbing his own elbow. And you just want to fold the entire thing in on itself. So that's going to be a bit of a shortcut on a later stage. And as for this one, again, you want to rotate the entire thing around onto itself, just like that. So first thing you want to do is come onto this flap, open it, rotate it, and there's two little holes here, and it taps right in there. Now, because I've learned from my mistakes, I'm gonna go ahead and just sort out the legs. So the legs, you just want to rotate them so that this part right here is forming a straight line. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to straighten this part out. So you just want to straighten them out like so. Do this on the other side, so you want to rotate it so that the inner thigh and the outer part are facing each other, and he should be able to straighten his legs out like so. And I'm just going to leave them out to the side until I finish with the tail part. So you want to come underneath here, this piece, you just want to untap it from the rest of the body. Pull it out, and it's gonna untap from these little pegs right here. There's no actual pegs, it just sits onto the rest of the body, but somehow it just stays there. This thing is heavy. And now I'm just gonna straighten out the legs like so. I'm gonna rotate this one, come on, and just straighten them out like that. It makes things a bit easier. Plus you get to put him on standing position. So as you can see now, these parts are all together stacked. So you just want to come onto the little piece here and you just untap it from a little tab right behind his butt flaps. And now you can see the head in there. So now you want to come onto these flaps right here and you just pull them out. So there's a peg right here and they just tab in on both sides, and that frees the tail piece from the rest of the head. And now you want to rotate the tail and you want to flip these two pieces inwards and upwards into the tail, so they're hidden like so. And then you just want to rotate these little fingers, toes, whatever they are, forward. And as you can tell, this is gonna sit on top of his head later on. Now on to the hard part. These two butt flaps right here are pegged in, so you just wanna put some force and unpeg them. Let me just zoom in on that connector. Fortunately, it's so black and shiny and you can't see it, so I'm just gonna untap this one as well. And that should free the connector a bit more. And then you come onto this panel right here and just untap it, and it should fold a bit to the right, so the connection is inwards in the right hand side. And now the hard part of the equation. So you want to come onto these shoulder pieces and you just want to just flip it. So as you can see, there's a seam between these wing sections and the rest of the body, so you just want to put your hand in there. Come on. Yeah. So all these shoot on top. Oof, this is hard. Now you just want to lift these little pieces here, lift one up so you can fold the other one down, and then fold the first one down as well. And now you can go ahead and move the headpiece onto the side like that. And here is probably the most complicated part. So what you want to do is flip this panel outwards, and for you to actually flip the arm out, you need to rotate it whilst it's inside there. Come on. So you need to rotate it so you have enough clearance to actually flip it out. And I'm just gonna go ahead and straighten this whole mess like so. So now this part needs to be rotated around and flipped inwards. This should rest about 180 degrees actually. Yeah, kind of like that. And now you want to come to the dragon arm and just fold it in like so. And this should be able to close up. So now you just want to come to the arm and just fold everything in like so. And do this on both sides. Like so. Now that the front section is done, we need to deal with the back area, which is probably the most complex piece of the equation. So as you remember, we opened up this part before, so that gives us a little bit of clearing so that this black piece can actually rotate all the way around through there. So as you rotate the lower part, you also need to rotate the section that the head is resting on. It's actually on a slider, so you just want to rotate it like so. And now that this piece has actually gone through, you can actually come and close this back piece and then close up the butt flaps like so. You also want to lift his waist up so that you have enough clearance to rotate these skirt pieces like that. The left dragon arm needs to be rotated all the way around through his back, and this actually just rests like that. Now what you want to do is flip this piece down and it should fall onto the back area. Now coming back to the front, I've actually made a mistake. You need to open up this section again, and you want to push down the head so that it actually slides into the chest area and it locks into place. So I apologize for that. There it is. So now you can go ahead and push it back and it should sit flush. So that shows that it's been done correctly. And then just push the head cap into place. And the only part that's left now is to bring out the fist. You just want to open up this section and rotate the fist like so, and close it back up. So there he is, Zhangqing's Metal Beast Cold Dragon, aka Transmetal 2 Megatron in all its glory. And I gotta say, my biggest issue with this figure is I don't know in which form to display it as. It's so rare to see figures that have actually been nailed in both forms. So this one definitely has blown me away, and I gotta say I love every single inch of this figure. Everything is just perfect on this. So let's get a closer look at that face sculpt, and obviously I have the David Kane's yes face. I hope I've made a good imitation. And obviously these can be changed. You just need to lift up his little cup here, remove the face plate, and then the actual face, and he's left without a face. So for the plates you get these two different designs. This one obviously is the show accurate one, and you get a number of faces. You get the classic yes kind of face and the angry discomfort face. You also get like a sinister smile where you can see some really jagged teeth. You get this one, and this one is obviously pissed off. You get this unhappy face because he tends to be unhappy most of the times. Again, dissatisfied, I guess. And a waspinner, I'm gonna kill you face. So let's go ahead and put that smiley face there. So he's all happy and grinning. Well, I definitely love the fact you get so many options for his face, and that quite a few of them are so show accurate. I just love this figure from top to bottom. I have no words to describe how good this thing is. So of course, color wise, you get the same color scheme as before. Now you do have on the chest, I love this color variation here of how it turns into lighter blue on the inside, and it just fades away within the white pearl color on the centerpiece. And moving down onto the legs, again you've got this amazing blue metallic color, and I love how they've differentiated between the dragon skill texture and some mechanical on the other side, which is quite cool. And of course show accurate, and you've got a lot of die cast on this figure, as you can see on the knee pads, on the bottom of the ankles, on the toes, and in general the figure is extremely heavy. And probably the only negative he actually does have in the robot mode is he is quite back heavy due to these wings, but I guess you can adjust them to the side to make him a bit more stable. So, and you can actually use them as stands because they pretty much are the same length as he is. And one more thing, I would like if maybe the tail attached to the head could somehow be detached. I mean, it would be nice to not having hanging on the side like that. And last but not least, he does have a bit of back cable because of this belly piece from the dragon, and obviously you have the dragon arm hanging down there, which is a bit of a negative, but I guess you can have a perfect transformation on this. And just to compare it to the Takara one, you still have the same thing hanging on the bottom, so through the back. So yeah, as for articulation, starting from the head, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove these caps so he does have more free motion. Now unfortunately this thing is weighing him down, but if you just hold it in place you can actually move his head by itself. So obviously it's on a ball joint, so you can rotate it all the way around. He can look, come on, whoop, this thing tends to pop off so easy. You can look down that far and up that far, and I mean he is hindered a bit because of that big ponytail there. These shoulder pads are on ball joints, they can be lifted up and swiveled around. Going on to the arms, the shoulder is on a triple joint, so you have one ratchet up here, another friction joint down here, and then you also have a second ratchet on the inside of the joint itself, so he can do all kinds of movements. Of course you can rotate it 180 on really tight ratchet joints. This figure makes so much noise, that's for sure. Then going onto the elbow, you have almost a bit short of 180 degree bend on the front, and of course because of the transformation you can also bend it backwards, and that looks like it hurt. And you can also do a full 360 rotation on the elbow. And going on to these lovely, really pointy fingers, you have individual articulation on every single finger on a ball joint on the base, and then another 2 hinge joints. So he can do all type of human motion with his hands. And then as for the thumb, you have a ball joint, a hinge on the base, and then another 2 hinges. So any type of motion you want, you can do it. As for the left arm, again, you have the dragon head, so the range of motion is the same as before with the ball joints, but now you also have an extra 90 degree bend on the shoulder here, plus you have the same type of joint as on the right side on the top part of the shoulder. And there's also one more thing, but I'm gonna leave it for the end. And moving down onto these behemoth's waist, you have an amazing up crunch, and that's pretty neat. And of course you get a full 360 degree rotation on that waist. Going further down onto the legs, you can move the skirts out of the way, so he can do a full 90 degree front kick and 90 degree back kick. And of course, as you've seen before, he can do full splits, and he can probably do like a click or so more. Really, really ratchety figure, but it's good that he has these ratchet joints, otherwise he would be very, very wobbly because of the weight. Let me just get this head out of the way. God, this is heavy. Now going on to the knees, you get a about 120 degree bend on the knees. Now you also have a second joint down here, which you can also utilize, but that is mostly for the crappy tank transformation. This also does move front and back, the same on the other side as well. And going on to these lovely, lovely feet, again you have the same type of articulation as in the dragon mode, so I'm not gonna go through that. One thing I actually forgot to mention is these parts that are on the legs, which are not really used for anything in the both modes, is just for the tank mode or whatever that is. And you have turbines which actually do spin, which is pretty neat, but other than that they just sit there. And of course you get all that articulation in the wings as you did in the dragon mode. So that is crazy amounts of articulation on this figure. Now you also do get another very cool gimmick, which I saved for the end. This head, you can just detach it by pulling it from the socket. It has a slider connection like so, which attaches into this little hole here. And you can just go ahead and open up this panel and flip out the arm, and that is pretty cool. I mean, goddamn. And fold that back in, and if you so like, you can actually attach this as a cannon. So you just want to straighten the head out, maybe open up the mouth just to make it look like a cannon, and you come on this piece, flip this upwards like so, and this just slides in there. How cool is that? And this hand also has the same type of articulation as the right hand, so that's so amazing. I just can't get enough of this figure. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, he actually does have an extra articulation on the, let me just zoom in on that, on the inside of the palm, so you can open up the hand pretty much. Obviously you can still use the LED function on the inside of the head, so that's pretty cool. And of course you can attach the effect parts in the inside of the mouth. Now just to go ahead and compare this a bit more to the Hasbro Takara version. So this was released recently. This has been out for 2 or 3 years already. Yes, we got the red version first, but still it's the same figure. So just to compare, this one is a 60 euro figure, and that's about 3 times the price. And I'm gonna put a link down below from where I got it from. Luckily I got it with a discount, so, and it was a present, so lucky me. I gotta say, this one just looks plasticky and cheap compared to that one, and I mean the price difference obviously makes them differ. But to be honest, what would you like to have in your collection? Would you like to have this that looks like a little doll from a company that's been making Transformers figures for the last 30 years or so? Or would you like this one? I know my choice. As for size comparison, again, here he is with the Leader Class Legacy Evolution Transmetal 2 Megatron. Once more, here he is next to Fury Leader, aka Nero, 4th party. Here he is together with Optimus. And I don't know if the robot mode sizes are correct. I mean, it always felt in the show that Optimus was the bigger sized robot mode, but they still look pretty good together. So I'm not gonna complain about that. And here he is together with Transart's Transmetal Megatron. Now, as for the size difference between these two, that seems pretty spot on, and I have to say they look stunning together. And of course, that's an amazing figure as well. Now, as for final thoughts, you know, I might have been a bit biased doing this review because I do love the Beast Wars series, and I'm definitely in love with this figure. It's big, it's painted everywhere, it's metallic, it's articulated beyond belief, especially for something this massive. On the downside, it is a bit heavy, but it is not constricted at all when it comes to articulation, which is absolutely amazing. Now, I gotta say, it is expensive. I did get this as a gift from my amazing girlfriend, but if you want to buy it, you could check out the link below at Baba Bobo, which it is quite an amazing site. They usually give offers and discounts, so if you want to get yours, try your luck there. But other than that, if you want to get a figure that is definitely worth the name of Megatron and it's definitely gonna be in your collection, you should get this one. If you don't want to spend the 200 almost euros, go get the Legacy Evolution if you want to just have a Megatron from the Beast Wars series. As far as I'm concerned, this is definitely a 5 out of 5 figure. I definitely recommend it. You know, it is a bit pricey, but it's definitely one of the best figures I've ever seen so far. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to make this channel grow. And until next time, take care. Bye bye.